I want to share with you something important to me. This is the Wheel of Wisdom. This is a calendar. This is a cyclical calendar. What do I mean, cyclical calendar? Well, it tracks the cycles of the year and of the energies of our creative cycles. More than just the numbers of a day, the days of a week, the numbers of the months. This is not just a linear calendar. This is not your bank's calendar. This is your creative forces calendar. This is your soul's calendar. Because energy doesn't move according to the Gregorian calendar. Energy doesn't move differently on Mondays than on Fridays, except for the energy we bring to Mondays and Fridays. So I want to invite you into a conversation about the natural cycles that are affecting you every day that you may or may not be giving any attention to. Welcome to the Wheel of Wisdom. Notice on this beautiful little cyclical calendar that each month is associated with a different energy, and it's associated with a different initiation. So here we are this month. Where are we on the map? November. Here we are in November. And notice that in November, we're in this center ring. That's the underworld, people. It's also the winter in the Northern Hemisphere. And in the underworld, we're dancing with our shadows in November. I mean, here in the US, it's election month, so, we're dancing with all kind of shadows. And then in December, we go into the energy of the hermit, because it's the darkest month of the year. And then in January, move into the month of the architect, where we start to imagine what the next year will be like. But even so, we're still in this underworld. And this is the first big cycle I really want to point to on this Wheel of Wisdom, on this calendar for you, because I want you to feel the permission this gives you to go into the underworld in the winter. Yes, it's natural. And without going into the underworld, without relaxing into the dark season, without allowing yourself to slow down and to get quieter, what happens? You really burn out. And by the time you emerge into what's supposed to feel like enthusiasm and the conception of a new year, you're still exhausted from the last year. So this is the first big lesson I want to show you today. Please utilize this underworld time. It's like the incubation period for your next year, for your wellness. It's the time to rest. That's why the days are so short, so that you rest longer. Now, a lot of people would say, we don't care about this anymore. We have lights. We can keep the lights on late into the night. We can watch TV and we can go Christmas shopping and we can drive ourselves into a frenzy all winter long. But how's that working for you? It's exhausting and it's going against the natural rhythms, isn't it? And we all feel it and we all know that. So there's your first big permission. Okay? Now let's talk about the cycles of what parts of our genius get formed and fed for each season. On this handy dandy little map here, you notice architect is a dark green. This one, which relates with February, March, these are all kind of shades of green. That's because they're all part of this, the beginning of the year where we're really getting grounded, where we are getting grounded into our bodies. I call these together, I call them the lessons of embodied genius. You have embodied genius. You are able to listen to your body, especially when your body gets loud, like in times of pain. And that's what these are about. Architecting, thinking about what works, adventuring, testing the limits of what's possible. Creature is a fun archetype because it's really about feeling your primal, physical, embodied wisdom, the wisdom of your instinct. And here we are. This is the beginning of the Gregorian year, January, February, March. And then we move into these, April, May, June. And these three relate to what I call creative genius. Your creative genius gets sparked in the spring. Have you noticed how you start getting curious and kind of restless in April? How you get kind of like playful and maybe frisky in May? How you step into the height of the solar year in June and you like revving to go? You have more energy in your body because there's more sunshine, there's more aliveness. These are all having to do with your creative power. What if you skipped and you didn't really get grounded out and you were just in a rush all through winter, and then you get to this creative time and you super go, 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 and you burn yourself out again, right? So these phases really need each other. They need each other. This is cumulative. This is what living in alignment, or just awareness, the awareness you're getting just by watching this right now, can remind you that, oh, there are cycles to a year. There's also cycles to my own growth, to my own body. So let's keep going into July and August and September. These are in purple. These connect with relational genius. In July, when you're thinking about what your purpose is, in August, where you're contributing and you're harvesting and you're in the garden and you're like working, it's a natural time to work hard, honestly, and to do lots of stuff. And then September, the year starts to shift, and it shifts into your wisdom. These are relational genius. They teach you how to relate with others. You're a specialist. You have a purpose in the world, relationship to others. You have a service that you give the world. You have wisdom that you share with the world. These relate with your relational genius. And then guess what? October drops you into the underworld. Hello, Halloween. Okay, and here with this one is the bridge. In other words, the bridge between the world, spirit and earth together. Shadow dancer, hermit, architect. And here we go. So this is the wheel of wisdom that I teach from. This is based on the medicine wheel that I learned with my Apache teacher, Maria Yespru. And she really encouraged me to simplify the more complex 24 stone medicine wheel that represent, where each stone represents the new moon, full moon, and it's a lunar cycle calendar, which of course is way more natural. And she encouraged me and helped me develop this one, which goes with the Gregorian months, just because that's what we're using. And it still works, y'all, which is very exciting. So you'll notice too with this wheel of wisdom, and I'll put a link so that you can download this graphic and really take a good look at it, that it also relates to the rites of passage in our life. So there's a conception rite of passage, the birth rite of passage, childhood initiations, the puberty initiation, the initiation that should happen around age 21. And no, I'm not just talking about being able to go to bars. The initiation that should happen around your Saturn return around age 30. The initiation that should happen around age 52 when you become a wise one, when you step through the portal of menopause, if you're a woman, for example. And then guess what? The final initiation of death drops you into this underworld period. Well, you don't have to die to know the underworld, because every one of us goes through times in our lives where we're like, woof, I am in the deep water right now. I am sitting in death's cave. I am down low and introspective. And you could be in this underworld at any time, right? It's natural to really spend some time there in the winter when the darkness is around. But you may look and say, oh yeah, after my mom died, I went in through her death initiation and I was in the underworld for a good year after my mama died. Just really cooking in these energies, being with my grief and being introspective. So we all have different timings. We are all at different places on the wheel. because the month that my mom died was in September, and I felt like I was in this inner world, for example, for a full year, even while, let's say, part of me was, June of that year, the co-creator energies were really strong and happening, but still I was over here. So it's not meant to be like a precision thing when you're working with a cyclical calendar. These cycles overlap even for you at all times. But as you're looking at this, you might ask yourself right now, like, okay, which energy am I really in? And am I allowing myself to make use of the energy that's prominent in each month of the year? Because I can tell you, even my business mentees, I walk them through this and we create different parts of their business based on the energy that's really supported in that month of the year. It helps you plan stuff. It helps you recognize what feeds your energy. And I can tell when someone is living in accordance with the cycles of the year because they're in their body. They seem calm. They seem like they have plenty of time. They're not rushing. And they're leveraging this stuff. They're leveraging it. And that's what I aspire to. It's what I try to do in my own life. And it's also what I encourage all of us in my Wisdom Collective program and in my business programs to pay attention to and to utilize, because it works. So I hope this has helped. It's just a little peek into how living in accordance with cycles can keep you moving and can keep you energized, and most of all, can keep you in a state of self-acceptance, because your body is doing this, whether you recognize it or not, is living probably according to something like this. Your body, your mood is probably going into the underworld in winter, whether you want to recognize it or not. You might fight against it, and that's a bad move. So enjoy the wheel of wisdom and know that this way of living with a cyclical calendar like this helps you embrace all the different parts of yourself. It helps you heal those old rites of passage, those times in your life that maybe were difficult instead of easy. And it helps you, when you're following it, to allow yourself to prepare for what's coming and to honor what's been. And this is wisdom. That's why I call it the Wheel of Wisdom. Thanks for listening in.